Hello, hello. Welcome to this session. This session is going to be creating a block self-portrait, similar sort of like a stylized Minecraft, if you will. Basically, it's going to be the same version of the thing that I made in the last video, just a much shorter version now that I know what I'm trying to make. So let's get right into it. So we need Blender. Go for General. Now, first up, what we need to do, if you press Tab, you'll go into Edit mode. Tab again to go to Object mode. Middle mouse button to rotate or orbit. Shift and middle mouse button to move around. Zoom in and zoom out with the middle scroll. So you've got those. Now, what we want to do is mirror the box, so we only have to do everything once. 1 for vertex, 2 for edges, and 3 for faces. 1, 2, 3. So we want to get rid of this one. So delete. And then we want to go faces. And press 1 more time. Hotkeys are your friends, so get to learn them as soon as possible. Now up here we have the transparent version. If I wanted to select those 2 vertices there in comparison to not selecting them, so if you look at that, for example, this one down here is not selected. So if you want to get through, you have to basically do that. If you press G, you'll go move. And then after G, go Y, you go into a certain plane. X for this way and Z for this way. Now we want to go here. Now over here in the little wrench item over here, we have modifiers. Modifiers have a whole list of things we can do. But for today, we just want the mirror. Now, of course, that is on the wrong axis. We want that one. So let's get rid of that. Now we also want to get clipping, so we can put these together, for example, without going over the top. Now, once that's done, I want to turn that off because later I might want to move things around without having to worry about that. So there we go. So just to show how the mirror works, pretty obvious there. And that's that. Now, the next thing we want to do is start cutting into the shape. So now that I have my picture, I've put this on my second monitor, but let me see if I can bring it across. So this is basically the character I'm working on, which I showed at the start. This took me ages, like an hour and a half last time. So I'm hoping to go for a bit more of a speed run this time. So bring that back up. Okay. So first up, we want the knife tool. Basically, this cuts into all the shapes that you have. So now I have a very good idea of what we want to do. So we want to put in the beard, for example. Go down to there. Press return to close the knife. Basically, we want this sort of thing here. So that goes there, up there, there, and then I decided I was actually going to do there. And we can keep going as well. So let's go there. Return. Let's continue. So back to the beard. So that goes there, for example. Up over the ear. We have 1, 2, 3. Let's say 3. And then pretty much straight back there. And there. Return. Now we want to put the ear in as well, so might as well do that now. Sort of want to keep these clean, just so the faces don't do any weird directions there when you move it up. So sometimes you'll have face or invisible edge, if you will, going down the wrong direction, so everything's a bit weird. We also want the sort of top knot that I have. Just eyeballing it doesn't really matter because we can clean it up afterwards. Let's go with the there, and there. Once again, we sort of want to make that risen. So we have some depth there. We also want to add somewhere to extrude into, so we can actually have a mouth. After that, we sort of want to focus on the nose, I guess. So let's do this. We'll go up. I just want to get the basics in so we can then clean it up later. Now, on top of that, we have sort of the eyebrow ridge. Let's put the eyebrow in first. Very small. Like so. Yep. Now, the eye was difficult, actually, the first pass, so we're probably going to have to do some interesting stuff there, but let's see if we can sort of speed things up a bit. Those there. And I'm going to put this there, so when I move this line back, it should be good. So let's move that back now, because that's actually a pretty key point. Like so. While we're at it, we might as well get some of these out there. Y as well. Nope. Down, like so. Now that's very high, so I'm going to be moving a lot of that down. That's not so important, right? No, let's do that now. So let's go back to vertices. Now we're just doing the front. Yeah, so you can see like this is very high. So let's get rid of those. We just want those. Yeah, we actually want to keep that the front. Go down like that. Much better. Now, let's flatten this out. So once again, if you didn't watch the first video, you will know what it is. So scale, Z and 0 will flatten that out, which is what we want, which is pretty good. Move that across to straighten that up. All right. Now it looks like, say for example, there's this line actually goes to there. And to be honest, actually, this also goes down there. Right, and that also goes there. So I'm gonna merge those. So once again, click on that, and then go merge vertices at last. Now you have a lot of options there, at first, at center, but for some reason, generally, I will always use at last. Okay. All right. Okay, now the tricky part here, and this was definitely much the first time, was the eyes. But let's once again just quickly zip some things in there, and then we can clean it up afterwards. So if I recall, we sort of want to do that. And then very simple eyes, to be honest. That. And then we want to merge those two together. So then, of course, we want to add some eyebrows. Not eyebrows, eyelids. Now, if you get the clipping, just move it down and then we can clean it up afterwards, of course. So let's go sideways over here. Move that down. Move that. So. Now we actually want to, okay. So we actually want to put some little element of depth here as well. So to do that, I'm gonna basically have to do that. Now it's not accurate, but to be honest, it wasn't the first time either. But we do need to sort of clean these up. So let's do that. I'm gonna eyeball this for now, and we'll worry about the details later. I think so, that'll work. Right. Let's get the ear out here. Out there. So we want a little bit of that in there. And we want to move those up. Maybe, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's cool. Right, now next up, let's get the top knot going. So once again, scale X, 0. Scale Y, 0. Now it actually needs to be a box, so let's make it a bit bigger, I think. Scale Y, 0. Let's move that up this way. Now, 3, 4 faces, select faces. Now this time we want extrude, but we want extrude along normals. And then when you do that, there's many of these tools which will have this sort of little thing here. Then you can go up. Once you do that, this down here will turn up if you want to change some of the details. So for example, we want to do that so it cleans up that edge there. And then we have a top knot. Once you select anything else, that will disappear and you don't have access to those options anymore. So be sure to make sure they're clean and what you want after you've before you click. Now, when extruding, these will be created, so I just want to delete those so it can clean that up when it joins them. Alrighty. So that's a good start. I like that. We want to move this mouth out. So let's do that. Well, let's move it down a bit there, maybe. Like so. We also want to get the mouth internal. So extrude. Now you want a little bit, so we can actually have our lip. And then you want the mouth inside of that. like so. We're going to get rid of these two as well. Faces. All right. Now, if we hide the mirror, so here we have, for example, on cage, which we don't want, we are on edit mode, if it's visible on edit mode or not, if it's in the real time or not, and if it's on the render or not. So you have quite a few options. In this case, we just want to select these three, and once again, extrude along normals, like so. Let's go about there. Offset proportions to make it accurate on that side as well. And then done. At this point, we sort of don't need that one. Oops. Now, once again, there's lots of options. So if I delete that and do only faces, then it'll keep some of the edges. I want the faces and the edge. So for example, only faces, you'll see this line here, which we do not want. So we want faces. Now that I could delete, but to be honest, I actually want that to go here. Sort of a more realistic face, if that, not realistic mouth. So let's go Z for back, G, Y, no, Z for that. Which is excellent. So yeah, we have a mouth. All right. Now another thing I'll want to add is this. This is particularly useful for animation, depending on how you want to go about animation. But say, for example, if I want to do an extreme open mouth, then having that point, it is important. It's especially important if you're going to do unwrapping, like texturing. So then you don't get some serious warping of the texture. For a untextured character like mine, it's less important. But I'm going to keep it in there just to get into the habit of doing that. So let's do that. Just to clean that up a bit. And then move this slightly in. Not that way. That. There we go. All right. Now with these, we don't actually need, we could actually clean those up. So let's do so. And done. Big test on this is how much can we push a very low polygon character. And as you can see, this is very low polygon. But I'm also kind of interested to see how expressive we can get a very low polygon character. I'm sure there are many different ways that we can create that, but to do so, I actually want sort of the ability to do sort of high-level eye expressions, if that makes sense. So to do that, we need low eyelids for squinting and things like that. So let's do that. Okay, now to clean these up, basically we want to do scale X or Y. Let's do Y and 0 one more time. S, X, no, Y, 0 to 0 that out, for example. Kind of want to keep, yeah. All right, that's pretty good. Move that over a little bit. Same with that. We want to go down. we most probably want to move all of that down. So that way we have that as well, which is pretty cool. All right. Now at this point, I think basically we're going to need some colors so we can get a better feel for exactly what's going on with this. So let's look at materials. So I'm going to need our faces. Now, as it stands, everything is this particular material. So let's start with a skin material. So to do that, we want to actually put subsurface on, because the whole idea is to create sort of physics-based rendering on super low polygon characters and see what results we can get with that. Now, if I recall, these are sort of half of the defaults for the best results, 0, 5. Now, we sort of need pretty pale, I must admit. So with that, and then a little more red there. So now that isn't showing because we're on the wrong visual. So once we go to this mode, we'll see the color. And once we go to this mode, we'll see the subsurface scattering, which is really what we do. So this is sort of like flat colors, and this has all the bells and whistles. Now, as you can see, this is very dark, which I do not want. So let's actually just put that higher, for example, maybe even the same color. So that looks pretty good. But we probably want to go even lighter, perhaps. Let's go white and see what happens. So it looks like the subsurface color, the subsurface color is the sort of main controller of subsurface scattering. So let's go with that one, I think. That looks pretty cool. So that's that. Now we want to create some new colors. So first we need a new slot. And in that slot, we need a new material. So the first material we're going to worry about is, let's just go dark. No, let's go here, dark. Therefore, we need dark hair. I have very dark brown hair, nearly dark, but black even. So let's do that. Now, once again, faces. So select all of the areas that you want to have that particular color. Holding shift to multi-select. Now I have sort of a buzz cut on the side, so those are actually different colors. So once they're all selected, select your color and assign. And there we have it. The next color, new slot, new here. And let's just say buzz, sure. Same thing again, but lighter. Yeah. Now I sort of want to mix between sort of the skin and the hair, because it is a pretty see-through sort of thing. So we'll add it, and then we'll just decide on if it's the right one or not later. I've got to add that as well. Okay. Well, let's do that for now. Assign. Oops, didn't select it. Assign. And we need to cut that, because that's what's really going on. So dark hair there, and light hair there. Okay. We need some eyes. New slot, new material. Eye white. So that's literally white. And this time we want roughness to be very low because they are not very rough by sign, for example. Yeah. We can actually mix I'll put our mirror back on, like so. And as you can see, it's a bit flat-nosed and very wide. So you can see that the color makes a huge difference in regards to the appearance. So even if it's quick, the colors can make a huge difference with the results. So now that we know that, we can sort of we'll sort of need to do a lot of tweaking here. Notice how it's not, and you've got those two things on the eyes. So we're gonna have to do that. No, that's on, and you still can't see anything because we're in the high level. But as you can see, it does select them all, so that's pretty good. So we actually want to put maybe all of this. This way. Right. Once again. It's a bit better. This time let's just do the eye. There. And as you can see, that's already a lot better. Yeah. It's not too bad. That has to be straight for one. Now we could actually do that. So let's do scale X 0, and then it's 100% straight, which is what we want. We actually need to put the ear in as well. So let's cut that up. There. And another one to drop in. So clean it up. And then let's flatten it out. So scale X, nope, Y, one day I'll get it. 0, done. G for move, Y, and in we go. Ta-da. Move them out a bit. And clean it up. Oops. Now in games, you a lot of the time you want to. That's a bit messy. So you sort of want to work with quads or four-sided shapes if you can. You don't have to, of course, but it's a very good thing to do. Part of it's for animation, part of it's just for being clean, part of it's for edge loops. So if I wanted to create a loop around here, it would sort of do it quite nicely. In this case, not so much, but yeah. Hopefully you understand what I mean. With a higher poly, it's much more important. With a super low poly, there are limitations in what you can and cannot do. I think I want to make this a little bit more blocky. So maybe a little bit less, but not by much. Now I want that clipping to make that easier to keep together. So, yeah, much better. I don't like that brown, so I think we need to make that sort of lighter, perhaps, like so. Yeah, that's better. There we go. The last thing we need to do is sort of figure out the eyes. This took a lot longer in the last version. That's probably where a lot of the time went. So as it stands, it's 30 minutes. But we can do it a bit faster this time because I know what I'm talking about. So for example, we're going to grab these and we're going to detach. So if we go right mouse click and we go separate selection, that will be separate. So we've got cube, which is the head. and we double click, and then we've got eye, for example. Now, if you want to, if you press tab to get out of that, I can edit one object at a time if I wanted to. For example, I can't edit the eye, can't select it, but if I wanted to, I can multi-select and then I can edit both. But for this case, I actually just want the eye, so I don't want to worry about it. Now, this took a little while for getting used to with Blender. I'm coming from 3D Studio Max, where everything is selectable. But once you get used to it, it's actually quite beneficial. So you only have to worry about the things you want to edit. So I'm going to put that really high. And we're going to put this really low. Like so. I'm also going to zero those out just to keep it super clean. And then what we want to do is kind of with this, we actually want to make sure we select the right one. And actually drop them back, for example. So like so. Now I might even try and merge these together at the center, like so. So that way we can do a blink very, very easily. So if we grab those, we can blink. Now, of course, I'd have to blend that correctly or something there, but that's not my problem at the moment. So let's go back to the eye. We're going to put in an actual eye. Now, in this case, let's use something else. Let's use inset, which is this one. So we need that. Select that. Inset once again. Now here, of course, you could do that. And we also want to do another one for the pupil, like so. Face that up, down, and going up. Now we sort of want to make that a square. Now, of course, we are going to need more materials. So let's have a look at that. So new slot, new material, eye, pupil. Basically, oops, double click. Eye, pupil. Basically, I like to do things in groups. So all of the eye related things have their own. I think that's super important for organization. So pupil, we want to take the roughness down, very similar to the rest of the eye. Select that, assign, and then not working because it's the same thing. So make sure to select the material you want to assign, and then it will work. Once again, this time let's try selecting all those. New material, new eye, brown. This time let's grab that color. Maybe not so dark. So that works there. Roughness down, and then assign. Sure, that works. No, let's add a bit more color. So dark, but more color. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now I think the skin is a bit pale. So let's go back to that. So skin. And once again, it's the subsurface color that sort of does it. That's a bit better. Getting that sort of sweet spot for the things you want to do. Not that pale, not that dead. There we go. Okay. So that's about it, really. Okay. So you can notice how like the ears are actually quite wrongly placed, poorly placed, wrongly, poorly placed. So we're gonna have to move that to what's proportional. So even things that are, oops, gonna need that because we're just doing even things as simple as this. You'd still have to consider proportions, I think. So if you notice, if we do that, it's already starting to look a bit better. We do need to move that one up though, and only on the x-axis, like so. And these two shouldn't have actually moved, so let's move them up as well. Like so. Right, there we go. So yeah, so that just looks a lot better because yeah, everything was a bit off before. I think those upper eyelids are a little weird. Oops. Is that an eye problem or? Well, let's look at that. So yeah, that's better than already. And then we want to sort of move that up, perhaps. Yeah. And then we kind of want to maybe move that up as well. Like so. Much better. But yeah, I have it. Kind of like a head version of me. Now let's move the light because I don't like where the light is. So let's go into object mode and then move this that way. Now I sort of want the front, but a little bit more to the left there. Okay, cool. All right. So there you go. One block head in half the time when I'm just jumping straight to the point. So once again, this is a good indication of how important reference is. If you have reference, your time is going to be a lot shorter because you already have an idea of what you're working with. So working faster with a plan is much better than winging it as you go along. That said, it is fun playing with your own things and seeing what comes up in the end. So I think we'll leave it there for now. And thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.